Hi, everyone. Judge Andrew Napolitano here for Judging Freedom. Today is Tuesday, July 26, 2022. It's 11:45 in the morning here on the East Coast of the United States. Look, the war in Ukraine is controversial. There are passionate views on both sides of it. In America, thanks be to God, we have the freedom of speech and we can express those views. The freedom of speech is protected by the First Amendment. It doesn't come from the First Amendment. It comes from our humanity. Among our rights are your right to think as you wish, to say what you think, and publish what you say. You can say anything you want about the war in Ukraine. Of course, you can't if you're in Ukraine or if you're in Russia. And a lot of us, been critical of President Putin of Russia for punishing Russian citizens or non-citizens physically present in Russia who are speaking out against the war and critical of President Putin's invasion of the country. Now we see the flip side of that. Now we see the Vladimir Zelensky government, totally propped up by the United States, receiving $60 billion, which is $20 billion for military aid, which is $20 billion more than its entire annual budget. Now we see that government being critical of Americans who are critical of Ukraine. So let me lay this out. There are legitimate arguments to be made that Ukraine has been a part of Russia for hundreds of years. It is, it isn't. It breaks away, it comes back. It leaves, it goes, it comes. There are legitimate arguments to be made that the Zelensky government is only in existence because the American CIA overthrew a popularly elected government in Ukraine, which was closely allied with Russia. There are legitimate arguments to be made that NATO, spurred on by the United States, is provoking President Putin. These are legitimate arguments that are the basis of controversy and debate here in the United States. But when you say these things, the Ukraine government is not happy. So in the past 24 hours, I'm smiling because this is absurd what they've done. The Ukraine government has named prominent Americans. You'll see them on the screen now. Glenn Greenwald, friend of mine on the left, one of the most courageous journalists in the country. Tulsi Gabbard, former United States Special Forces and former United States Congresswoman from Hawaii. Senator Rand Paul, physician and member of the United States Senate from Kentucky. They have all, from time to time, made the arguments questioning why the United States is spending $60 billion in Ukraine. I've made the argument. People on this show have made the argument. Those of you who email me made the argument. But now the Ukraine government is naming them by name. So can you imagine calling Glenn Greenwald a Russian propagandist? Former Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard, a Russian propagandist. Senator Rand Paul, a Russian propagandist. These are very courageous people. Glenn Greenwald does some of the best investigative reporting in the United States of America today, and my hat is off to him. Congresswoman Gabbard did not hesitate to take on the entire Democratic Party in her views on war and peace, that we fight too many wars, that we spend too much money, that the military is too endemic to our society. And Rand Paul, Senator Paul single-handedly delayed the expenditure of $40 billion in Ukraine. He made a very profound argument that you've heard on the show. You've heard me make it. You heard Colonel McGregor make it. You've heard Phil Giraldi make it. You've heard Scott Ritter make it. How do we know where the 40 or 60 billion is going? Nobody's there counting the warheads to make sure the same number are received as were sent. The country is riven with corruption, as is much of the world. How do we know that the money we're spending, and some of it is cash, isn't ending up in the wrong hands? And when he sought to amend the legislation so that there'd be an American inspector general in Ukraine counting the missile warheads, counting the dollar bills was defeated by the Democrats and even by many Republicans in the Senate. My dear friends, these three people, and there are many more, but I just picked these three, will show you their faces again. These three people, Glenn Greenwald, Tulsi Gabbard, Rand Paul, are heroes for restraining the American government. And the Ukraine government is making a major mistake in attacking them. If Ukraine is so interested in freedom, and I believe it is, it should be defending the freedom of speech and not assaulting it. Judge Napolitano for Judging Freedom.